Okay guys, today's clip is going to be about crop rotation. It's going to be in 3D. Also make sure that you're viewing this on large screen because I'm going to basically write some stuff on the 3D version that I'm going to show you now in a minute, so just make sure that you can read it. Crop rotation is a really amazing method because it's quite old actually. It goes back to Roman times, and it is only that in the last maybe 50, 60 years that has been stopped because of things like monoculture and chemical fertilizers, and now unfortunately GM is becoming more popular as well. And guys, it's terrible. It's going to wreck our planet. So it's a fantastic way to kind of get around these things, it's a bit like, your antivirus on your computer. It's a really, really good way to stop pests and diseases from some kind of getting a foothold in your crops. So guys, sorry about the voice thing. It's just that I'm using the laptop microphone. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to go into Google SketchUp. It's a really nice program. If you wanted to use it yourself, it's free to download from Google. It was designed for Google Earth, and I'm just going to go into it now, and I'm just going to use it as a kind of I suppose as an example or something like that. But I like it because it's 3D and it just looks really well. Um, so if you have a bit of land, what I would suggest is that you go out and kind of measure it, and just to get a kind of rough idea. And that's what I'm kind of doing in this example, at the moment, just to figure out. I'm also going to speed up the whole thing shortly, just so that you get a faster version of it. But yeah, let's just speed it up a bit here now. There we are now. So yeah, if I mean what you want to do really is you want to add a certain amount of beds to your rotation, but what I'd suggest you to do is wait until the very end of this movie, and then you get all the different types of variations, and you can kind of find out what you need to do and how many beds you want and how much land you have and so on. What vegetables you want to grow as well. That's a big consideration as well. So that brings us on to the vegetable families, and the way I have it written down there is I'm just basically writing it down the way that I actually would choose to have my own crop rotation. And you notice that there's going to be no, eight plant families, and each plant family basically has sub plants, you could call them, I suppose, sub vegetables that are within each family. So, for instance, you have with the potatoes, you have the tomatoes and the aubergines and so on, and then with the onions, obviously, you would have leeks and different things like that. Now, this is very important because obviously pests and diseases are plant specific, so they basically just attack or munch away on certain plants, and they wouldn't really go near any of the other ones. So that's really actually the whole idea of crop rotation, is that the vegetables are protected, then that there's no pests or diseases or anything like that going near your plants. Uh-huh. So if you can see here now, what I'm going to do is I'm basically also have kind of a sequence to the whole thing. What I do is I add potatoes the first year in the first bed, say we call it bed one, and then the next thing I would add is I would have my legumes, which are the peas and the beans and so on, and then the next crop I would have is brassicas. And the reason I'm doing that is because the brassicas would feed off the legumes, the nitrogen that the legumes would have added on the roots, because they kind of fix their own nitrogen. And what I've also done is I've added a lot of the compost in the first year with in bed one with the potatoes. So this kind of is a great method, because when I get to bed 4, which is going to be the pumpkins, I have added a lot of old compost as well. Um, Now when I get to bed 5, I'm adding again a good bit of farmyard manure or compost to the potato bed. So this means really that I'm only adding compost to 3 beds every year. So if you see now, what will happen is basically the legumes would go to the left, to the pumpkins, and the brassicas would go where the legumes were. So you move kind of every bed to the left every year. So that's then the easy way to kind of memorize it, you know. What else? What are the considerations that you might need to take into consideration? Now I also have, obviously I have, I've split up some of the beds as well. You know, I've put basically lettuces with the beetroot because I want a lot of lettuce and I don't want so much beetroot, and that's totally fine as well because you can, providing that you move those two families in the same bed constantly, then you definitely, there's no problem there. You know, you can just keep moving them to the left as well, and they're not going to, you know, be in the wrong place or anything like that. It's just when you're mixing the wrong vegetable or the wrong vegetable family, any vegetable in a particular family, and you're putting it into the wrong bed, that's when you're going to run into troubles. It's okay with the potatoes because I've moved them 4 down. So remember, the minimum of um, you know, time is 4 years before you can put a vegetable back into a bed. Now the longer the better, so you can take that into consideration as well when you're making a crop rotation. You have to also make the beds the same size because if you don't do that, you're going to end up with some beds, you know, having less crops in different years, you know, and that's the problem because some crops you want quite a lot of, like brassicas, for instance. If you only had half a bed of brassicas one year, that mightn't be so good, you know. Also, don't worry about if it looks a bit complicated. It's quite simple. It's much easier than it looks, and you'll soon get the hang of it. Just keep messing around on paper, or maybe use this this program. You know, it's a bit of fun anyway. So guys, I hope you really enjoyed the clip and you have a fair idea now how to do crop rotation. Yeah, feel free to ask any questions or anything like that, okay? See you later, alright?